Your thigh registers the familiar three-pulse buzz before your mind even catches up. A precise mechanical tremor deep in the muscle, yet the pocket is empty. The phone lies charging in the other room, screen dark, indifferent to the urgency it just created. Your hand still twitches toward it. This has become an ordinary moment in your ordinary days. You have answered this ghost thousands of times, fingers closing on fabric that holds nothing. The small flush of embarrassment arriving a half-second too late. The nervous system does not ask permission before it learns. It simply incorporates whatever arrives regularly against the skin, rewriting its own map until the boundary between tool and body dissolves without ceremony. By the early 2010s, researchers across psychology departments had gathered the numbers. 60 to 89% of habitual users reported the same false signals, often matching the exact rhythm of their chosen notification pattern. Medical interns felt them during 36-hour shifts. Office workers felt them in meetings where silence was mandatory. The consistency suggested something deeper than suggestion. The somatosensory cortex, the brain's living blueprint of the body, had redrawn its borders to include the small rectangle that once lived in the hand and now lived in expectation. What no graph captured was the first time it happened to you personally. The precise instant the crack appeared in what you assumed was a clean separation between your senses and your devices. The day the machine moved inside the map. The day absence itself began to speak in the voice of arrival. If your body can manufacture the exact sensation of a device that is not present, then how much of what you feel is still anchored only to what is real? Consider Elena Park on a gray October morning in 2007. She was 29, a product designer in a converted warehouse overlooking the bay, and she had just unboxed her first iPhone. The weight of it felt intimate immediately, warmer than plastic had any right to be after 10 minutes in a pocket. She chose a custom vibration, 2 long pulses and 1 short, and within a week, that rhythm had become the drumline of her nervous system. The first phantom arrived 3 weeks later while she was sketching interface flows at 2 a.m. under the cold glow of fluorescent lights. The pulse traveled up her leg so convincingly that she dropped her marker and reached, only to see the phone sitting motionless on the far corner of the desk. She laughed once, a short, nervous sound that echoed off the empty office walls. Then she went back to work. But the laugh had been too quick, a cover for the small disorientation that lingered like static. The incidents multiplied with a logic of their own. On the crowded morning BART, she would feel the double-long pulse, and her thumb would involuntarily slide across the strap of her bag, as if unlocking a screen that was not there. During dinner with her boyfriend Marcus, she would flinch mid-sentence, eyes darting downward, missing the shift in his expression as he watched her choose a ghost over the man across the table. Each false alarm carried its own weather. A tiny spike of adrenaline, then the flatness that follows when the promise proves empty. Her body was practicing a new form of longing. She began noting the occurrences in the margins of her sketchbook. October 29th, 11:47 a.m. During client presentation, felt like incoming good news. November 14th, 7:22 p.m. While cooking, felt like incoming trouble. The data showed the phantoms clustered in moments of sustained attention, exactly when the device would have offered its most seductive exit. The nervous system was not broken. It was optimizing for a world that no longer required presence. At a conference in Austin that winter, she heard a neurologist describe cortical remapping in violinists. The fingers that practice scales for 10,000 hours claim more real estate in the brain. The same mechanism, the doctor said, was happening with phones. The hip and thigh areas of habitual users were lighting up on scans, as if the device were a permanent limb. Elena sat very still in the auditorium, while the slide clicked to the next image. She felt the phantom pulse twice during the applause. The summer of 2009 brought the turn. Elena's sleep had deteriorated. Her designs had grown brittle and overstimulated. Marcus had started leaving her phone in the hallway outside their bedroom like an unwanted guest. After one particularly jagged week of 43 recorded phantoms, she agreed to a digital silence retreat at a rented cabin in the Redwoods near Point Reyes. No devices, no service, just wind moving through thousand-year-old trees and the low, insistent roar of the Pacific. The first afternoon was almost holy. Then the hallucinations began in earnest. They arrived every 9 minutes at first, then every 6. By evening, her left leg was twitching so regularly, she pressed her palm against the muscle to quiet it, feeling the phantom pulse against her own hand like a second heartbeat. She walked the perimeter of the cabin, counting them. 28 before midnight. The sensations had migrated. Now they bloomed in her sternum, too, a pressure exactly where the phone used to rest when she fell asleep with it on her chest. Lying in the dark on a thin mattress, she finally understood the depth of the colonization. The body was not missing a rectangle of glass and metal. It was missing the condition that rectangle enabled. The permanent low-level readiness, the sense of being continuously witnessed by an invisible audience. Each phantom was the nervous system's best attempt to simulate that condition in the absence of any signal. The hallucination was not error. It was loyalty. When she returned to the city, the ghosts followed her through the door. They were weaker, but more knowing. She tried moving the phone to a different pocket. The body simply rewrote the map again. She tried leaving it in the kitchen drawer during focused work. The withdrawal felt physical, like ligaments remembering an old injury. Yet something had changed in the texture of the experience. Instead of answering the call, she began to sit inside it, feeling the precise quality of anticipation it carried, the particular shade of unease or hope. The phantom had become a teacher. Other cases surfaced once she started listening for them. A trauma surgeon in Chicago who felt vibrations through sterile gloves during 16-hour operations, his hands trembling at the worst possible moments. A young mother in Portland who would jolt while nursing her infant, instinctively reaching for the device instead of stroking the soft crown of her daughter's head. An older journalist who had carried a pager since 1987 still felt the precise pattern of his old service every evening at 6:03 p.m., the exact time his shift used to end, long after the pager itself had been retired to a drawer. Each story added the same quiet revelation. The integration does not remain partial. Once the nervous system claims something as part of its perceptual apparatus, it defends that claim with hallucinations, with withdrawal, with the slow, stubborn loyalty of living tissue. The wisdom arrives not as slogan but as sensation. The moment you stop reaching for the ghost and simply feel it pass through you, understanding that every technology intimate enough eventually stops being technology. It becomes weather. It becomes mood. It becomes the background radiation of what you mistakenly call yourself. Elena never returned to constant connectivity. She bought a mechanical typewriter for first drafts. The physical resistance of the keys gave her hands something undeniably real to push against. She began swimming in the cold bay 3 mornings a week, letting the shock of the water scrub her sensory map clean for precious hours. The phantoms still arrive, quieter now, like distant relatives who refuse to be forgotten. She greets them without shame. They are evidence that she was once changed at the level of her nerves, and that the change left a mark. The next time the buzz arrives in an empty pocket, you may find your hand already moving. Or you may catch it this time. You may let the vibration crest and fall without answering. In that small stillness, the original question returns. Only now it feels carved deeper into the grain of daily life. If your own body has willingly become a co-author of a machine's presence, what other presences is it authoring on your behalf, in the quiet intervals where you have not yet learned to look?